Hello everybody, how lovely for me to see all of you again. So the last few weeks, do you remember, I've been telling you parables, stories that Jesus told in the Bible. And our last 3 parables have been about things or about people that were lost. I'll put the Bible behind me. While I'm putting the Bible behind me, see if you can remember what any of those things were. Did you remember the lost sheep? Did you remember the lost coin? Did you remember, sometimes he's called the prodigal son, but we could also call him the lost son. If you haven't seen those stories yet, you can find them on our YouTube channel. And I've said before, haven't I, that the wonderful thing about Jesus' life and Jesus' stories, those parables, are that everything that Jesus talked about in his life and everything he taught the people were things that he showed in his own life. Jesus was somebody who did what he talked about. He didn't just talk, he lived according to what he was preaching. Today I'm going to tell you a story from Luke's Gospel, which is an example of how, just like Jesus talked about things being found that were lost, that was something that Jesus actually lived in his life. I told you, didn't I, that he spent a lot of time talking to the tax collectors. I've forgotten to put something under there. Let me break it so it's a bit higher. Jesus spent a lot of time talking to people whose lives seemed lost. People called the tax collectors, who were often cheats with money, and the sinners. Jesus spent a lot of time with them. And they weren't very popular people. But Jesus spent a lot of time with them because they felt lost in their lives. And I think Jesus was trying to help them, trying to put them back on the right track. This is the story about a famous tax collector. Luke says that Jesus was on his way, starting off here actually, he was on his way to, remember where that is? To Jerusalem. In Luke's Gospel, we've said before, haven't we, Jesus spends a long time travelling to Jerusalem, and he won't let anything get in his way. He has set his mind to go to Jerusalem. So Jesus was going to Jerusalem, and great big crowds were gathering. Great big crowds, because Jesus had got famous. Jesus had got famous, and great big crowds were gathering. Crowds were gathering, and in amongst those crowds was this person. This is Zacchaeus. Now Zacchaeus was, put him there for a minute so you can see him. Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector, and he was very rich. Can you see his money? He was very rich. I wonder how he had got his money. I wonder whether he had done any cheating to get his money. I wonder whether he had given all the taxes that he should have done to the Romans, or whether he had kept some of his money, some of that money for himself. All we know is that Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector, and he was very rich. We also know that he was a little man. He was short. Can you see him? He was short, and he wanted to see Jesus, but he couldn't see Jesus because all these tall people in the crowds were in the way. They were blocking his view. He wanted to see Jesus, but he couldn't see him. He couldn't see him. The crowds were in the way. So Luke says that Zacchaeus ran ahead. He ran ahead and he climbed into a sycamore tree. Climbed into a sycamore tree. So he could see Jesus coming. Branches are in the way, aren't they? Oh dear. He climbed into the sycamore tree. I'll hold the tree. I think that will be the easiest way. He climbed into the sycamore tree. There he is. So he could see Jesus coming. And when Jesus got near to that sycamore tree, he looked up. And Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, come down. I must eat with you today." And Luke says that Zacchaeus hurried down. Down, and he welcomed him. And the people in the crowds thought, what is happening here? What is happening here? What is that man doing? Having dinner with a tax collector. What is happening here? But Zacchaeus said to Jesus, "Lord, if I have stolen any money from the poor, I will give half of what I have back to them." And if I have stolen any money from anybody else, I will give it back to them 4 times over. I will give them 4 times as much. I will pay it all back. And Jesus said to Zacchaeus, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to look for what was lost. The Son of Man came to save what was lost. And that is the end of today's story. I wonder how Zacchaeus felt. I wonder how he felt when he was up that tree and Jesus called him down. I wonder how he felt. And I wonder how he felt when you could hear those people grumbling, saying, "What is going on here?" I wonder how he felt then. And I wonder how he felt when he heard Jesus say, "The Son of Man came to look for what was lost." The Son of Man came to save what was lost. I wonder. I'm going to say a prayer. If you'd like to make it your prayer, you can say Amen at the end. Dear Jesus, thank you that you brought good news. Thank you that you brought good news, that you came to look for what was lost. Thank you that you came to save what was lost. Dear Jesus, help us know that in our lives you are always with us and you're always happy to be with us because you love us just like you loved Zacchaeus and all your people. Amen. That's the end of today's story. I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.